It began on an otherwise ordinary Thursday morning in Atlanta, Georgia. The city was waking up to sunshine, traffic, and the buzz of 1,000 morning routines. But inside the private suite at St. Juliet Hospital, Camilla Johnson was clinging to consciousness. A successful interior designer and wife of millionaire tech investor Douglas Reeves, Camilla had just gone through an emergency C-section after a complicated pregnancy. Only, when she awoke, something was missing. Her husband. No flowers. No warm hand in hers. No gentle voice telling her everything would be okay. Just a nurse named Tanya gently patting her shoulder and telling her she was brave. Camilla blinked through the haze and asked, "Where's my husband?" Tanya hesitated. Then she said the words that would begin a story no one could have predicted. "He left." Camilla thought she misheard, but Tanya nodded. "He left, said he had meetings, and didn't know when he'd be back." Her heart, already weak from surgery, sank further. But Tanya wasn't done. "He didn't even look at the baby. Said he wasn't sure he wanted this life anymore." Camilla didn't cry. She didn't scream. She closed her eyes and said nothing. But that silence wasn't weakness. It was the sound of a storm gathering behind her ribcage. 3 days passed. Then a week. Camilla recovered alone. Family flew in. Her mother cradled the baby boy. Friends brought food. But Douglas, he was silent. Not a visit. Not a call. Not a single response to her messages. And then one morning, a courier dropped off divorce papers at her mother's house. No explanation. No note. Just a legal request. In the days that followed, Camilla learned more than she ever wanted to know. Douglas had been living a double life, flirting with influencers, attending exclusive yacht parties in Miami, and telling anyone who'd listen that he was free now. He told his followers he wanted to live, unapologetically, that fatherhood was a trap, and marriage was a weight. He didn't know that Camilla had once designed his entire personal brand. The clean, ethical, visionary aesthetic he sold to investors. That was her work. The early investors he met at launch parties. Her contacts. The initial $400,000 loan to build his app. From her family's trust. She had built him. And he left her. But Camilla wasn't the kind of woman who breaks quietly. 3 weeks after the papers arrived, she returned to their shared office. It was legally her space. Douglas had moved operations into their home, and this building had remained in her name. Her name was still on the lease, the utilities, and most importantly, the patents. In a stroke of arrogance, Douglas had never updated the licensing documents for several of his software tools. And every line of early code still bore Camilla's name. Legally, she still owned the foundation his company was built on. So she made a decision. She didn't call him. She called a lawyer. Within days, she launched a formal audit of their business agreements. Emails were subpoenaed. Contracts re-examined. Camilla filed an injunction on key parts of his software, claiming breach of licensing and misrepresentation of ownership. Then she did something no one expected. She launched her own company. Not in revenge. In rebirth. She called it JXC, Johnson by Camilla. And while Douglas was still nursing cocktails in Cabo, thinking he dodged parenthood and gained freedom, Camilla was speaking at women in tech conferences and quietly collecting allies. She didn't go after his social circle. She went after his investors. And they listened. Because the scandal hit the news within weeks. Millionaire tech CEO abandons wife after birth. Faces lawsuit over stolen code. That headline wasn't from a blog. It was from Forbes. Douglas tried to deny it. He posted videos calling her bitter, said she knew what this was, and claimed he had every right to walk away. But receipts don't lie. Screenshots, emails, signed agreements, investor testimonies, public sympathy poured in for Camilla. And Douglas, he became radioactive. Within 2 months, 3 of his biggest investors pulled out. Within 3 more, he was facing court orders and an intellectual property freeze. And Camilla, her company exploded. JXC signed its first government contract within 5 months. Her design tools for urban